Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. So are you somebody that likes a good quality custom knife? And maybe not just a custom knife, maybe it was a production model but it's been heavily modified and made to be a very unique piece? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Here in front of me, I have some of my TFK T17.6 knives. Now, each one of these, as I make them, are already fairly unique. From copy to copy, they do vary from, I would say, one to the next. There are a number of different features that make them fairly unique. However, if a buyer wanted to, they could literally get two knives that are completely identical. So if you wanted to, you could get two knives with the exact same features and the exact same finishes if that's what you so choose. But today we're going down a completely different road. I am going to take these four TFK T17.6 knives and I'm gonna have these heavily customized. These will be heavily modded, so there's no possible way that any two knives can be exactly the same. They will be very much unique. So at this point, I have a lot to do and a lot to show you, and I'm very excited to see how these come out. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Hunter, what's happening, man? Doing good. Yeah. So we got a couple hours time difference between us. I appreciate you making this happen. So I'm staying up a little bit later than I'd like to, and you're squeezing in and taking some time away from your evening. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you. It's an honor.
So we're here today. I am looking at this point to introduce you to my audience. So my subscribers and my viewers and my fans and people that have been really sticking along with me, they have become my family. And well, today, you know what? You're entering into the Outer Limitless family. There's a number of people that are really important to me, and I've done a lot of work with them, and you're stepping in here today, and I think, and I'm hoping this is just the very beginning of a lot of really great things.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. And I've watched almost all of your videos, and I've seen the healthy, comment section is always live with a lot of great questions and a little bit of trolling here and there, but that's part of it. You got to love it. And definitely I'm proud to be here and I'm happy to be part of the family.
Excellent. Well, that's great. We need to introduce you. So Hunter Cutchin, you are the owner-operator of DB Hemlock. Now, that might mean something to some people here, but I bet this is going to be new to a lot of people at this particular time. DB Hemlock. Now, this is something that, first and foremost, I can't go too far without saying a great big thank you to Mark at Extreme Edge Custom Kydex, who actually suggested that I reached out to you. So, and Mark is another integral part of the Outer Limitless family. So, he is my kydex maker. He does incredible work. He saw your work and knew the attention to detail. He knew that I had a very specific eye and said, you have to talk to this guy. So without Mark, this may not have taken place. So big shout out to Mark on that one.
Definitely. Mark, you're fantastic, man, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you reaching out. He's been a great friend. He makes amazing kydex, and I've known him since pretty much starting this. He was one of the first people that really talked to me, and I've actually got a couple of his blades in the mail we're going to be collabing on and doing some personal work for him, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's great. Good, and I'm excited to see how that turns out, and I know he will be too, so that's good. All right, well, so now let's really get into this hard, right? So you do very specific custom work, and really custom work that I would say you really can't get anywhere else. And I'm going to start this by saying, and the reason, other than Mark, when we first started talking, I think you were commenting maybe a little bit on my Tops SXB video. I got this directly from EJ Schneider, Skull Crusher himself. took this out into the field, had a wonderful time, and really this knife proved to me what it could do. But you're taking this stock knife as well as a lot of other Tops knives, and you're doing something to it. What exactly do you do?
Well, the way I see it is Tops makes an excellent platform for their knives. When they come to you, your door, you open up the box, they're ready to go. They're proven to do just about anything, any task, any survival situation. They're made for people who like to work, and that's exactly what they do. And I saw them as an opportunity for a blank canvas. I already love the steel. It's mostly 1095, differentially heat treated. And I wanted the options to dress them up. I mean, you see Schneider's SXB Skull Crusher there. It's an iconic blade. You know, everyone knows that shape. It's got a similar tracker style to it, but it's huge. It's iconic. And I wanted to give people the opportunity to make it a little different, add some extras to it. This one here is for a client. This one has been custom napped. This is my napped finish on here. I like to call it that because it resembles stone napping. I'm a big fan of the kind of prehistoric, early age knives where we all started out before we got amazing things like this. And so I wanted to give it a stone look, something really primitive by design. And this is my raindrop pattern, acid etched along the blade on the bevels. And I, of course, can do that anywhere on the blade, but that was a particular design here, and it stands out. It just takes an already fantastic blade and gives that person some originality, some individuality, and lets them have something that is truly unique.
That's cool. And I just happen to be taking some notes. Now, the reason why I'm taking some notes is because we'll get into this in a little bit, but we have a little bit of a project that we're going to be starting to work on together. I need those notes to be able to communicate with you. Now, you have a number of different finishes that you use, tons of different styles. And what I'd like to come to terms with some of that with our audience today is exactly what you call them. So a perfect example, you talked about that napped finish. You talked about your raindrop etching. There are a number of different finishes on there, and there's a bunch of different ways you can go about really fine-tuning these, whether you're doing the acid finishes, some grinding work, you get into filing. I mean, all sorts of different finessing, whether it's on the spine of the blade or the different grinds. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go. How does a customer work with you to really describe to you what they're looking for? Or do you just make one-off knife and say, hey, this is what I got?
That it depends on the client. I've got several of them that they know what they want right off the bat. Actually, the gentleman I did that SXB for, I'm doing a Kumatak, also made by Tops, and that knife is going to have a particular pattern. He knew exactly what he wanted. It heralds from the G.I. Joe series, and so we're keeping to that theme. He wants, some clan signs on it from the G.I. Joe, that ninja clan, and he's got a really unique set of what he wants. So he comes to me and says, can you do this? He might show me a picture, or he might sprout some ideas based off finding my pictures on Instagram, something, a compilation of just about 10 or 12 different knives that he's found and likes the style, but wants it combined into one area. And I will pick and choose and say, okay, we don't have enough room here to do this, but we can combo this and that. Other than that, I actually have quite a few clients that they enjoy just creative freedom. And that's got to be some of my favorite projects, is the client comes to me and says, look, I know your work and I know it's good and I love it. Surprise me, have at it, have creative freedom. And that's actually how I got to do that clip point modification on that other SXB. That was a lot of fun, just changing up the whole grind. I also did, this is a Tops Silent Hero that I have harpooned. This is, once again, my napping design on the blade flats, but this is an acid splatter. And a lot of people like that to represent various different things of why it might be splattered on the blade, but it creates a unique, chaotic feel to the blade because no pattern is ever the same. It cannot be duplicated, so everything on it is going to be an original. Even if I redid this mold knife once again, it's going to be an original because I can't duplicate that pattern.
I think that's pretty awesome. And in fact, that is, in essence, exactly why we're here to talk together today. So if you've been following along, I actually have my own knife project. It is called the TFK T17 project. Now, Tanab Family Knives, or TFK, produces a number of blades. Basically, all of them, for the most part, a couple of exceptions, all start with a T model number. 17 has always been my lucky number. So this here, the T17. Now we've progressed over, I'd say, the past 18 months from full-size 6-inch wilderness blades to now 5-inch, 3.5-inch, and actually we have a 4-inch version coming out as well very soon. So this here being the full-size T17.6 at this point. Now, I have one in my hand here that's basically, I would say, pretty much bone stock, with the caveat being I've always tried to improve my blades, add additional features so that the customer can really truly customize their buying experience. So my first blades having sort of an acid stonewash finish with G10, then progressing a little bit, adding some mosaic scales, taking it to the next level where we added N690 and a full-length cutting edge and voodoo resin handle scales. And now, well, I think we're going to take these blades to the next level. You got something in your hands over there?
I do. I have a couple of T17s, actually. One with an incredible, I believe you said this was your voodoo resin.
Correct, yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous blue with the silver inlays. I love it. Just beautiful knives. I also have the G10 with the finger choil on it.
Now, you got a couple different handle choices there. Other than the materials, you pick them both up. They feel a little different, don't they?
They do. They do. There's a bit of a heft difference. This one is a little more rounded, so it's going to be more comfortable for long-term use. I really like the feel of it in hand, but you really just can't beat the grip on this. I feel like when I pick this knife up, you'd be hard-pressed, especially with a lanyard on it, to ever get it to come out of your hand. It is just a nice grip, solid, slightly square, but a good rounding to it so that it does not want to slip, no hot spots or anything on it. I love it.
And that just speaks to the custom-tailored experience I'm trying to give my customers. Some customers like a full palm swell, others like slab-sided scales. So, hey, why not offer both? And you'll actually notice that a couple of them have a standard spine on the top. A couple of them have a squared off spine for scraping. So the idea of this project being you can literally get a production quality knife with all the fine-tuned features, and copy to copy to copy, they're extremely accurate. But the caveat being, if you wanted to buy this exact knife with black G10, these toxic green liners, acid stonewash, squared off spine, finger choil, and jimping, you can get this exact knife, and your knife will be literally the exact same knife that I'm holding in my hands. So what can I do to add some features to my blade to ensure the customer has a one-off, never to be replicated blade? Well, Hunter, this is where you come in, buddy.
Exactly. And that's the fun part about all of this, because you will never get something someone else has. Now, it can be very similar, but say I also take this one and I wanted to do a raindrop across the bevel, nap your flats on here, maybe some texture work, whatever the customer wants. We have a nice spine down through the handle there, plenty of real estate there for file work. This knife, once a customer orders it and gets exactly what they want done, and someone else sees that picture and says, duplicate that work, I cannot duplicate it. I'm not a machine, but I will get it close to it. So either way, even if it's an exact copy of it, it's never going to be anything but an original. It will always be your own signature piece. It will never be some production style knife that you could get off the lot. It's always done by hand. Everything is done by myself in the shop. And so every knife, I love to pour my heart and soul into it. I love to put my time, my effort, sometimes my blood. I got a nice deep cut here. And it's all about the passion of recreating uniqueness, recreating what someone really wants when they're out in the woods and they want to draw their knife and they want to use that. They want that symbolism of this is survival. This is preparedness. This is wilderness. I will use this knife here and I will persevere. And that's what individuality does.
Ah, sweet, man. And so, what I've noticed is you're striking the balance between art and function. And sometimes they don't speak well together. Sometimes something that's artistic is kind of weird when you talk about ergos and functionality. Now, one of the big function add-ons that I'm actually looking to have you perform on one of these blades, and probably actually two of them, I'd say, is some serrations. I have not yet offered my customers serrated blades. I think that's going to be something that's really an enhancement for some people. Some people like serrations, some people don't. Well, guess what? You get your choice. You want serrations? Well, let's have at it. And you can make them actually a couple of different ways.
Yep, I actually offer, my opinion on serrations is it kind of varies per designer, per knife company. A lot of serrations are designed mostly to, cut cordage or in, extrication processes, cutting seatbelt material and such. I like to design serrations solely for bushcraft and wilderness use. And the big key point there is sharpening capabilities. Most serrations, you either have to have a special file or a very small ceramic rod. The serrations that I like to do, if with a little bit of ingenuity, you can take a natural stone in nature and bring it back. I offer them in 1/2 inch and in 1/4 inch design. And I apologize, I don't have a knife. Oh, wait a minute, I take that back. I actually do. These are, I don't know if you can see that. These are my 1/2 inch serrations here. And what that allows is anyone who's got a stone, they can just easily put that right in there and hone it right back. It's chisel grind so that the backside, you can just hone that flat. So rolling over the edge and not being able to get there to sharpen your serration back isn't really as big of an issue as it is, say, on other smaller design serrations. The 1/4 inch serrations is what I plan to do for the T17s here, because that way we could get more into the blade area. I want plenty of functional blade spacing. I want to make sure there's plenty of edge there that we can still perform every task as needed, but offer plenty of serrations in the roughly 1.5 inch spacing I want to get them in.
Perfect, man. I like that. So, hey, let me ask you while we're talking about that, and we have both in your hands, full length as well as finger choil options. So what do you think? Do one of each with some serrations and see how they come out?
I would say so, yes. I would say do one of each, the full length and the choil, and get some serrations on either one of them, or both, and see how that works. I think that you will find with the choil, you're going to really be able to fine tune those scallops so that when you are push cutting with it, doing feather sticking, scraping, there's a lot of actually practical uses of serrations in bushcraft, activities other than just feather sticking. If you're scraping, if you're tanning hides, stuff like that, I've seen where serration has come quite in handy. And I think with the finger choil there, coupled with the serrations, you're going to have more accuracy as you are cutting with them, and try to utilize that new bevel that's extremely sharp to do some very fine-tuned work within the boundaries of 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch scallop. So
perfect.
yeah.
And it's funny because in another little shout out to my buddy Joe at Survival Attitude, we've been kicking around the debate of right hand versus left hand serrations, and I'm coming to the conclusion in my own mind based on research and some preliminary sort of field testing. I'm a righty. I want right hand serrations, and I know that's not always the norm.
Right hand serrations definitely aesthetically appeal better because, for those of us who are right-handed, and most knives, sadly, for my left-handed friends, right-handed knives are quite prevalent. So on the show side of the blade, which would be the right-hand side, you want to see that beautiful pattern of the serrations, whereas on the left-hand side, it just looks like someone chopped it against a rock. You can't tell it's there. But I do see the reason for left-hand side serrations, especially if you are a righty, because that puts the flat of the blade directly against your work. And if you have your serration, say, right here, and you're trying to work there, you're canting your blade even further away from your working project to carve them in. Now, I still prefer right-hand serrations, but the argument for left-hand side is completely valid as well.
Well, we'll give it a go. I'm curious to see how it turns out. I, again, have not yet had serrations on any one of these T17, so it'll be a first. I'm pretty pumped.
It's going to be fun.
Nice. So with that, I was thinking what I'd like to do is maybe just configure one of these, taking it from the customer perspective that maybe knows what they want. And then I want to give you the creative freedom on the other three. So you have 4 of those with you. The one that I was thinking we would build out, again, going back to the blue with the Voodoo, that's unit number 40. And if you look on the side, each one of those actually is individually serialized. So I do maintain a database actually with all of the serial numbers. So these are going to get a little asterisk on them and show the customers too.
Very nice.
So I was thinking, yeah, I mean, we talked about the serrations. I'd also like to do that raindrop acid etching. I think is a pretty nice look. And again, with your stone napping, and that's, I think I'm going to have to just say a signature trademark look. I mean, I know you have a lot of different styles, but like if there's going to be one that's just like your flagship, that to me calls out. So I think that would be nice. But the next question is, what do we do with that spine?
That spine has got plenty of options that I offer. We can do everything from ornate dragon spine, I like to call it. I have done that on several tops knives, several actually many folders as well. It gives it more of a wavy appearance. It's a very unique standout design. And sadly, for what we're planning on doing with these blades, that is geared more towards ornate. And we want to keep these very practical, but beautiful in practicality. But that spine can certainly have numerous things done. It could have drop reverse Tonto design done on it. It could have a swedge cut into it. It could be clipped as well. It can be turned into a clip point. Leading back further from that, you can include things like ferro rod striker, which some people do like 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch ferro rod strikers that could be added on. It's already got a wonderful 90-degree spine on it. So putting in the striker itself is more personal preference. After that, plenty, like I said before, just plenty of real estate. Right through here, I can add jimping, where if you were to do a reverse grip and you would want a bit of jimping there where your thumb would be, that can be added on, or full length file work as well. That's something that I plan to get better at. There's a lot of masters at it, and I've got a few designs and patterns that I like to do, and I have to say they really do set off the blade. When you put the time and the effort into do some file work onto the spine, it just makes the blade pop.
Sick. Well, okay. So I think maybe for the first one, and when I'm saying spine at this point, let's talk about through the tang.
Okay.
So between the actual handle slabs. So at that point, and I think it was I don't know what you call it, dragon scale, or there was a name that.
A dragon spine?
Yeah, dragon spine. Can
Yeah,
you
that
do that between the slabs, or does it need to be run all the way down through the entire spine of the knife?
That's through the spine of the knife on the blade itself. Here is where the dragon spine goes. Uh, if you put it in between the slabs, it's going to create some
Void?
possibly some hot spots, but it is going to keep those slabs up above where the steel is, so potential damage to the slabs. So
Yep.
through here, I try to keep it as flush as possible with the pre-existing slabs.
Now, what about almost like a hammered look through that? Is there anything
That's
in that vein?
Yeah, well, there's plenty of different designs you can do when it comes to the hammer pattern. I call that my texture work. I offer several different diameters of it. Currently, right now, the large and small are the most popular, but I can do it in various different patterns. Some people like a more jagged edge, while others want more circular patterns. And I tend to go for, when doing spine work, I like to use my small texture pattern through there. It gives plenty of design. You can see all the little hammered patterns through it, and it's very nice and flush. You can't feel it. It gives some traction, especially for your thumb, but in a natural, just everyday use, it's not going to create any awkward hot spots.
All right, so you call that your small hammered pattern?
Small hammered texture or pattern, whichever you prefer. I do also the large one. That one creates a more robust, nice circular pattern that kind of overlays with itself. So it's very nice. I like it.
I think we'll pick one of those, or something along those lines sounds good for this one. A little more subtle than the file work, and maybe we'll reserve the file work for one of the other blades.
Sounds good. Yeah,
Yep.
definitely.
Cool. And then you caught me with intrigue at clip the point.
I
I'm
see.
desperately thinking about my next iteration of this, and I shouldn't even say it, but you brought me there. Of actually making my next version of this with a clip point. So you have me extremely intrigued.
Well, I have been told a few times today that I'm a terrible influence. So the way I see it is innovation is always moving forward. So you got to push those boundaries. So clip points, they're one of my favorite Bowie style blades, man. You
I'll
gotta
tell you
love
that knife comes back with a clip point on it. I'm not gonna yell at you.
No, well, I'll jot down that little subtle hint.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I know there's going to be some other design features that we need to talk about, but in a means to keep this moving forward, um, I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to have this level of a conversation. I'm excited to be able to take these knives that, have been my baby. Like, I have thought of every detail associated with these up until now, and we're now adding a complete additional layer of beauty, function, and customizability to these. It's a home run, man, and this is really going to be sweet. I am pumped.
I am too. I can't wait. And once I got these in the mail, the very first thing I did was I put them up on Instagram, had to take a picture of them, and immediately messages started coming through. My friends wanted to know where to get them, how they get them, how can they get them, and what the hell am I going to do to them? And that's something I'm looking forward to, is because, to be quite honest, even though I have quite a lot of ideas going forward with what I would like to do, I let the steel tell the story. I let the knife dictate what it wants, because you can start putting on a lot of modifications to make something look really gaudy. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that might think my work is gaudy, but it really is what accentuates the blade and what works with the design. And sometimes you can just look at it and think that pattern is going to look really cool, but not on this blade. And you've got to work with what it wants. I know I probably sound crazy saying that, but you go with what the knife wants.
I'm glad you said that, because the first thing I noticed, and it was a very early impression that I had, a knife like the SXB, a lot of different geometries going on, different grinds, different shapes. You get some curves, you have a flat, you have a big old belly. You know, I immediately started thinking with mine, I'm like, well, my knife's a little more plain. It's got some straighter, I mean, I'm a very just basic functional guy. I'm very plain and basic. What works, and I can tell by, you know, some of these real simple design elements that it's going to work. And if I got too fancy, it wouldn't. But, you know, I started thinking, I was like, well, are you really going to be able to get the creative aspects in this knife that you do with something more like the SXB? And the more that I looked at your work and the deeper that I dug, the more and more I found that it doesn't matter what the blade shape, you're able to tell a story with each one of these blades. And I know it's definitely going to be sweet for the T17.
I appreciate that. And that's, you know, it's not so much the wow factor of the blade itself. You know, picking up something that is a massive piece of steel that's already by design has that wow, you know, eye-popping bevels and grinds and sawbacks and craziness going on with the blade already. It's not so much that you need that to set off the work. Originally, you know, form and function is grounded in, you know, functionality and practicality. So just because it's a more simplistic design going on, everything about this knife has a function, has a purpose-driven design. It's not that this is any less of a blade than something that has a ton of bevels and a ton of different duplex grinds, compound grinds, you know, crazy things done onto it. This is designed to be used for what its intended purpose was. My goal is to take my modifications and my work and to enhance what that design is, to make it really stand out, to call what the blade was supposed to be from the beginning and give it that dress up individuality that I believe that everyone deserves.
Can't wait, man. So the next time you're going to see these blades, they're going to look a little bit different, huh?
Oh yeah, they are. Just got
Nice.
to try to beat the snow, but definitely looking forward to it. It's going to keep me busy for a little while, but you know, it's going to be a good busy. Got to always keep going.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I can't wait for my audience to see it as well. So
Definitely.
excellent. Well, couple last things here. So, Hunter, got to ask you, got any other projects going on people may be interested in hearing about?
I got a couple going forward. If you happen to follow me on my Instagram or on Facebook, I have just received a rather large amount of blades from Sly Steel and Oliver Hanan. He makes an amazing knives too. I really have been drawn to his Skeletech Bushcrafter. I am not the biggest fan of small blades. A lot of people know me. I love large knives, something ridiculously big. I like knives like that. And when I found this knife here, I've been carrying it a lot lately, and I've really enjoyed using it. And so I've got several of his designs, and I'm planning on doing a matching set of the Sharktooth Hunter and Sharktooth Tactical for Oliver. That's going to be a lot of fun, and a couple of Bushcrafter, Skeletech Bushcrafters for him. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I've been talking a lot to Oliver, great guy. He's got some really cool designs going with his newer products. He's got a kukri that is just being released right now that I know was just on television. I believe it was on Naked and Afraid, and just performed excellently. If you want to, you know, check that out, go check out Sly Steel and get a chance to talk to Oliver and watch his videos on it. It's really great. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And I do have a couple of other things coming up. One right now, I'm doing some stuff for Tops Knives. They are doing a giveaway coming up here, I believe, on the 24th, and it's going to be a massive giveaway. And one of the prizes for Tops Knives will be an up to $300 will be a Hemlock custom. So if you win that in their giveaway, you'll send me one of your Tops Knives, and I'll perform a Hemlock custom to it and get it in the mail back to you. So stay tuned for that giveaway. Definitely going to be worth it.
Dude, that's sick. So, I mean, even if somebody, you know, got their hands on a brand new Tops knife or had one in their collection, whatever they want, they'll send to you and you'll do your custom work.
Yep. They send it to me, and either I can do a creative freedom and just have at it if they prefer, or if they have a design in mind that they've been wanting and just happen to win that chance, then definitely we'll move forward with it and I'll work on it for them. So that's going to be awesome.
Ah, sick, man. Ah, sweet. Sounds great. Sounds great. So, well, all right. Well, Hunter Cutchin, dude, I appreciate it very, very much. Again, owner operator of DB Hemlock. How can everybody find you? Just give everybody a quick means to find you, and let them know where they can see all of your work.
You can find me most active on Instagram. That's my @DB Hemlock. Also, you can check out my services page on Facebook. That's Hemlock Customs. And you can always message me anytime on Facebook, Instagram, and text if you know me well enough.
Ah, yes. I'm
Yeah,
looking
man.
forward to this.
It's going to be great.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, bro. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Anytime. So, well, I hope everybody enjoyed that. And you know what? We got some really cool stuff coming up. So, well, stay tuned.
Definitely.